Hello guys, in the last few weeks my email box has literally filled up with mail with one request, that of talking about Jonathan Galindo. It seems that this disturbing character has also arrived in Italy. But taking a look at other YouTube channels and reading scattered news on the net, I noticed that there is a lot of confusion about who he really is, but especially about his origin. You know well that I like to thoroughly investigate the topics I deal with. So in this video, I will tell you everything there is to know about him and what no one has told you until now. So here it is, Jonathan Galindo, what they never told you. Before we start, I want to clarify one thing. I will approach this topic as neutrally as possible, avoiding playing the fear card. I believe that up to this point it has been done far too much, as happened in its time when we talked about Momo. The problem with Momo was precisely that of exaggeration, a legend, until it reached a real concern that invaded social networks and even reached worried parents about the fate of their little ones. Jonathan Galindo is taking the same turn. And to the extent possible, I will try to stop this diabolical mechanism. And now that I've made the most important premise, it's time to tell his story. Let's start by taking a look at what is currently being said about this character. He appears as a man with animalistic features that remind us of the famous Goofy, or Peepo as we Italians call him. And it's precisely this connection with a harmless and fun fictional character that ends up becoming even more disturbing. From what they say, Jonathan Galindo, he would pose a danger, especially to children, with whom he would come into contact on platforms like TikTok, asking questions to steal their personal information. The urban legend also says that anyone who does not satisfy Jonathan's requests would be led to participate in a challenge with a tragic ending for the participants. I don't know why, but this point reminds me a lot of the Blue Way, don't you think? In truth, the only real danger associated with this character, it would have nothing to do with cursed challenges on the web, but with the possibility of actually having sensitive data stolen. And as we know, personal information on the internet is worth gold to those who can get it and can also be used for fraudulent purposes. So hold on to them tightly, okay? At this point, though, one has to wonder, where did this terrifying man originate from? Owls? And this is where the situation starts to get complicated. In 2017, a profile appeared on Facebook by the name of Jonathan Galindo. His photographs were those of the disturbing owl man. From the beginning, Jonathan became the protagonist of an urban legend. As it was said, he was a 30-year-old man suffering from a serious mental illness and a facial deformation, which forced him to wear the mask with which he became famous. It was said that Galindo was an extremely dangerous character, and that on several occasions he had followed some of his followers to their homes to keep an eye on them or scare them. Moreover, his preferred victims were women and children. But as you can imagine, it was simply a creepypasta, a made-up story. However, for most internet users, the Goofy Man was born right from that profile. But it wasn't like that. In fact, photos of that strange character had been circulating on the internet for quite a few more years, since 2013, to be exact, when they were made public by a man who was known on the web by the name of Dasky Sam, or Sammy Catnipnik. The content proposed by Dasky Sam on social networks is quite controversial. I won't go into too much detail about them because I would end up venturing into a bit of a delicate territory, which is certainly not suitable for all types of audiences. What I can tell you is that the human Goofy character was created by Dasky Sam to satisfy his personal taste, a fetish if you will. And like Goofy, there were many other similar characters that came to light in those years, all elaborated in great detail, but with quite disturbing features. So the profile pictures of Jonathan Galindo were simply stolen from Dusky Sam's social media to define the main character of the 2017 Creepypasta. What you're probably thinking, though, if you've been following the story so far, is that everything I've told you up to now is not at all new. Other channels on YouTube have talked about it before me. However, there is one piece of information that no one has been able to give so far. Why? The most important question is, if this character has been on the web for so many years, why has it only gone viral now? Who brought it back into the limelight when it was supposed to have already been forgotten? And this is where we have to connect back to another influencer. A character who is not known in Italy, but who is very famous in Latin America and Spain. His name is Carlos Nave. Carlos is a boy like everyone else, handsome, young, fashionable, and with a desire that of becoming a personality on social media. The same dream that many boys and girls his age have. The problem is that the huge competition makes it very difficult to gain visibility. Yet currently, his account is followed by more than 1,700,000 people, a truly impressive number. And how did he manage to get the attention of such a large audience? Well, thanks to a fantastic idea. Through the stories of his Instagram account about a year ago, Carlos began to tell a paranormal story that would feature his family. In this tale of fantasy, because it's clear that it's simply a made-up story, all sorts of things really happen. Appearances of terrifying presences in his home, strange events that don't seem to have a logical explanation, and, of course, the appearance of disturbing characters in his house. Guess who would have appeared in one of the last episodes of his paranormal story? Indeed, the much-feared human Wuffy. Carlos included this character, which did not original, clearly, but just a poor copy, if we're being honest, in a story that is followed by many people. It must be maintained. A story that Jonathan Galindo became very famous for on the web in 2017, especially in Latin America and Spain. So, after recognizing the story of Carlos the Human Owl, many began to share on their social networks the photographs taken from the boy's stories where he appeared. And then, the power of the internet did the rest. Those images began to go viral, bringing the Galindo legend back into the spotlight, the one that terrified an impressive number of people a few years ago. And incredibly, that story also reached Italy. At this point, we can reconstruct the chronology of events together. In 2012, Dasky Sam or Samicot, Nip Nick, creates the character exclusively for his own personal taste. His intention is not at all to create a dangerous character, even though all his creations are characterized by a certain taste for the macabre. In 2017, the profile of Jonathan Galindo was created, which uses the photographs of Gatsky Sam to make himself the protagonist of a sort of creepypasta. It is on that occasion that he is given the name of Human Goofy. In 2020, Carlos' name brings the character of Human Goofy back into the spotlight, including him in one of his stories that are part of the paranormal story he is telling on Instagram. Lastly, the great popularity of the character inspires anonymous users on the web to use the figure to carry out a not well-defined phishing activity through platforms like TikTok and proposing what had been done at the time with Momo on WhatsApp. And this, guys, is the complete story of Jonathan Galindo and the truth about this new viral phenomenon. As always, one has to wonder why something like this, seemingly silly, spread so quickly on the net. Well, if we think about it, all the elements are there. A strange character with disturbing physical characteristics, an urban legend that makes him diabolical or cursed, and the idea that he represents a real danger. All elements that on the web attract the attention of both kids and more mature people who want to know more, just out of curiosity. However, in this case, it didn't take long to bring out the truth. Almost everyone understood right away that Jonathan Galindo is not the original owl, and they were able to link him with Dasky Sam. Despite this, Carlos Name's involvement in the matter is only known in Spain and Latin America, where Carlos is a very well-known influencer, especially on Instagram. But in Italy, we only received half of the information. So what do you guys think? Will Jonathan Galindo really be able to reach the popularity of Momo? Or is it one of those phenomena that we won't hear about anymore in a short time? Let me know your opinion in a comment